Hey there, welcome everybody to this live broadcast Google Hangout. You are joining me, Joshua Carey from Pet Sittingology. It's great to see some familiar faces. Now, before we introduce our special guest and get started today, I just want to put everything aside and say a little thought and loving prayer to one of our industry colleagues who just yesterday had to go into the hospital and prematurely deliver her little baby girl, Olivia. And I just want to say all of our thoughts and prayers are with you. We are all pulling for you, and we certainly hope the best for you. And just wanted to get that out of the way up top. So if you have thoughts and prayers, send them her way. We're all rooting for Team Olivia. All right, now, today we are on part 2 of our training session with our special guest, Mr. Ryan Handley. Welcome back, sir, for part 2 of how to tell your best story to win more clients and build your business. How's it going, Ryan?
It's going great, man. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be back. We had such a good time last time. Lots of great questions and comments, and I'm looking forward to doing it again. It's good stuff.
Absolutely. So last time, those of you who either were here live or watched the recording, we had a session and a half. There was dialogue going on screen here. There was dialogue going on in the chat box. So please feel free to use the chat box again. So what we're going to do today is, last time, part 1, we spoke about the 3 C's. That's how to create content around your client, your company, and your I was going to say customer, but that's the same as client. Your client, your company, and your community. Thank you, Ryan. And your community. We are going to briefly go through specific examples of a refresher and a recap of what each one is. And get this, here are the 3 specifics we're going to dive so deep into. Ryan's going to bring to the table. We are going to talk about how you create those various pieces of content on your blog, and we're going to go through all different parts of your blog. Then we're going to talk about, get this, your Google Plus local page. How many times do we talk about setting up Google Plus and that Google local page? Ryan is going to screen share with us and show us his local page and all the stuff we can do. And then finally, we're going to touch upon collecting email addresses and what you do with those email addresses. So you'll see how pieces of content could just be thrown out systematically and strategically. Am I saying the right things, Ryan? Is that sort of what we're going to navigate today?
You are saying the right things. Yes, absolutely.
Excellent. So why don't you get us started with just a quick refresher and recap. Bring us up to speed of those 3 C's, building and creating content around your client, your community, and your
company.
Company. It's always one. It's always one different. Oh, goodness. My head's all over the place. I'm sorry. Let's go with the 3 C's, Ryan.
So last time we dove really deep on what these 3 C's were and what their importance was. So basically, the 3 C's are a framework to understand how to tell better stories online. Basically, the concept is your story, the piece of your business, that people actually make an emotional connection to, is where the 3 C's, these 3 concentric circles, where they all cross and overlap. So the first one is company. So this is pretty straightforward, talking about who you are, why you got into the business, what things make you tick, what are your interests outside of the business that you work in. So some of the examples we gave were talking about, it's pretty common to say that you love animals, but maybe you had a very specific experience somewhere in your youth that pushed you down that path. Because I can say I love animals, but I'm not a pet sitter, right? So you love animals, you're a pet sitter, but what pushed you to the point where you wanted to make it your career, or at least a part of what you do on a daily basis? So talk about that, because that story, that experience, is going to give people a little more knowledge about your business and help them make an emotional connection to you. The second C is client, and client is talking about not just the type of client that you want, but who are the people that actually do business with you? What do they look like? Where do they live? What kind of animals do they have? Are you a dog-only person? Are you, hey, if you have an elephant, I'll walk it down the street for you type of person? Like, what is the type of client? What do they look like? And why do they choose to do business with you? Now, the relevance to this type of content is that it allows people to feel like, okay, so I'm Ryan. I live in a fairly Pleasantville-esque suburb community, and I see that other people living in Pleasantville-esque suburb communities with a 30-pound dog choose you. Okay, so now I'm seeing people who feel a little similar to me. They seem to be doing the same things. You know, I see that two of them go to the same workout club that I go to, and now we're starting to make a connection. I'm saying, oh, well, if these people who seem very similar to me are using this person, it makes sense that I would at least give that person a chance. The last C is community. And I'm not going to say that it's the most important because all of them are important, but I think this is one that we often leave out. And it kind of makes sense to talk about our clients and who we are, especially company. You know, company is where most people tend to go first. Community is important because it takes you from an outsider to an insider. And what I mean by that is when you can show that you integrate very smoothly into a community, whether that's pet owners, whether that's a geographic region, whether it's parents of a certain school district, when you can show how, hey, I'm on the PTO of my kid's elementary school or whatever. I think PTO is the right term, right? The parent teacher, whatever it is. You know, I'm part of that organization. So now every parent of that elementary school who sees you says, wow, that's really cool that she's willing to give up her time and help this school that my child goes to, you know, be a better place. Maybe they'll hate you because you have to make decisions, but hopefully if you're making good decisions, they'll like you, and it will mean more business for you. And what it just allows people to say, okay, I understand who the company is, I understand who the people are that choose you, and now I understand how important this community is to you. You're the obvious choice for me and my pet sitting needs. So that was I tried to keep it relatively brief, but that is the overview of the 3 C's and the types of content we want to be creating and how they turn into your story.
That's great. And for everybody just joining us again, we just gave a little refresher of the 3 C's. You can watch part 1, which will be linked somewhere near this replay, to get an in-depth overview of what those 3 C's are. And again, everybody just piling in, we are now going to touch on 3 specific areas, locations, places where you can provide different forms of the 3 C's. We're going to talk about on your blog while talking about what is it and how to get the most bang for your buck out of that blog. Then we're going to move it over to your Google Plus local page. Exciting to me. And then we're going to wrap it up with how and when you should be capturing email addresses and what to do with those email addresses. Funny enough, you were talking about that parent-teacher thing. You said PTO. Both me and Ryan are pretty brand new fathers, so please forgive our lack of knowledge of school at this point. I think it's PTA.
Parent-teacher. PTA, yes. Yeah. PTA, there we go. That's what I was going for. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, my son is only 8 months, and he actually was just in my office. We didn't get to do the full green room wrap up because my wife decided to pop in. So yes, we're still figuring out this whole parent thing. So I missed.
Yeah. Aren't we all?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so let's dive in to the first of the 3 areas, perhaps the most obvious. We do have a big push for pet sitters to start blogging, start writing articles, start creating content on your website in any form possible. Talk to me about a blog, Ryan, and I know you have some thoughts about what the true purpose of a blog is.
So I hate the word blog, right? It's an awful word. And another phrase that you'll hear a lot in the marketing space is content marketing, another awful term. And the reason I say awful is not, I don't necessarily have anything intrinsically against the word. I just don't think that it explains what we're actually trying to do. And a good friend of ours and a future speaker at the event that you're having here this fall, Marcus Sheridan.
Preach it.
Was actually, he was just on my podcast 2 hours ago, right? 2 hours ago.
Nice.
And he shared something with me, and as soon as he shared this with me, I said, I am writing this down and I'm sharing it at noon because it's genius. So you will probably hear this again more eloquently and with much more energy if you attend the event, which I encourage you to do, because I know if Marcus is going to be there and Josh is going to be there, it's going to be amazing. But
well, thank you, Ryan.
So Mark, yeah, hey, I'm doing my part, my part. So he shared with me. I asked him, because I had read, why do you not like the term content marketing? Like, what is it about this term that you don't like? That's the question I asked him. And he said, because it doesn't explain any of the activities that you're actually trying to do, right? So on your blog, what are you actually doing? What is the purpose? You're not just putting content out to put content out because someone told you that you're supposed to. You're actually, and these are the 4 things, you are listening to your customers to find out what their needs, wants, and desires are, because they may post in social media, they may post a comment, they may share and make a comment about your stuff. You're using it as a listening tool. You have a contact form on your site. People may contact you. You're using it as a way to listen to your customers. That's 1. 2 is it's a communication tool. So very simple. You have something going on. You use your site as a tool of communication. It can be back and forth communication, like in comments, or it could just be you putting some information out into the world as a way to communicate that to other people. The 3rd is it's a teaching mechanism. The 4th is helpful, and the reason I blew through teaching is because I think the second 2 are kind of go hand in hand. So what I mean by teaching, and this is where the rubber really meets the road when we're talking about generating revenue out of our site. So the reason that you listen is because your clients are going to tell you the exact types of content that you need to create in order to answer their questions. So I'm going to dial into my experience in the insurance world, and then we're going to come back to pet sitting here. I explained in session number 1 about the 100 insurance questions answered in 100 days video series. Basically, I needed a way to jumpstart our website, so I answered 100 questions that were specific to the insurance industry in 2 minutes or less in a YouTube video, and I put it on our website for 100 days in a row. Okay? The listening part, where I actually got the questions from, is one of the most valuable takeaways from that story. I got the questions directly from insurance consumers. So the people that would ultimately be the ones buying my product, I got the questions from. So I just asked them on Facebook. I asked them when I saw them in person. I asked them when I came into the office. I emailed some people specifically, and I just said, if you had one question about insurance, what would it be? This is what you have to do, or not have to, and we don't have to do anything. This is what you should do with your pet sitting blog if you want to never run out of content ideas, right? You want to never run out of content ideas. You want content that is always going to hit the mark and is going to have long tail value. And what I mean by that is people who search very specific terms like how much does a pet sitter cost in northern New Jersey? Someone is going to type that into Google. If you are a pet sitter and your work in the northern New Jersey region, maybe that's too broad, but to your specific region, you want them to find you when they make that search term. So if you've answered that specific question, if on your site you have a blog post titled "How much pet sitting services cost in northern New Jersey," you are now answering a very specific question to a client who has a very specific need in that moment, and if they find your site, there's a much better chance they're going to find you. Now you do that over and over and over and over and over again for every possible question, from the questions that you feel are as dumb can be, all the way up to the most complex questions like, do you walk a dog with a leash, right? To a pet sitter, if I'm a pet sitter, I'm like, geez, that's a dumb question. They have leash laws in our town. Of course I have to use a leash. But to someone who doesn't know or is worried, that might be a very legitimate question. What do I do if my pet sitter doesn't use a leash? What happens if my pet sitter loses my dog? What happens if my dog bites my pet sitter? I mean, these are all questions that a pet owner would have about the service, that if you answer those very specific questions on your blog, on this property that you own, Google is going to start to serve you people. Right? They're going to start to, when I say serve you people, I mean they're going to start to send traffic to your site for people who have that very specific question. So I want to touch, I'm going to come back to that in a second, but I want to talk about the idea of digital sharecropping. Okay, very marketing geeky term for basically what it means is creating content on other people's sites. Right? So when you post something to Facebook, you are digitally sharecropping. You are giving Facebook content and trying to send people to a piece of content on a property that you do not own. Your website, you own the property, and you know this is why you need to own your own URL and self-host it. I'm sure that there are some people who are listening or listening in the future who have a free WordPress.com thing or something on Blogger or something like that that's free. You need to get off that platform. You are missing the mark. I know it's free and you feel like you're doing something, and I don't mean to be rude to you, but you are wasting your time and effort by building a presence on that free platform, because you're serving WordPresses. You know, let's say you have the pet sitting northern New Jersey.wordpress.com, the free version. First of all, you're giving a very limited experience because it doesn't have all the functionality of a self-hosted site like Josh can build you. And additionally, you're serving WordPress's purpose. You're sending traffic to a site that WordPress owns. That's a free site. You don't own that site. And technically, you don't even own the content on it. So if WordPress.com was just like, no more free sites, whap, you're done. All your work in growing that property is gone because you were building on someone else's property. Now, if you buy your own domain and self-host your own site, which can be as cheap as $3 a month, you now own that property, and no one can ever take that away from you. Google can change search rules, but no one can ever take that property or that content away from you. And to a certain extent, you could even fight a trademark or copyright infringement law if someone stole your stuff. Not that you would ever go to that place, but what I'm saying is you have ownership of the content. If you post something into Google Plus or you post something into Facebook, you do not own that. They can do whatever they want to it. They can take a screen capture and post it up on their one of their help pages and talk about why that's the worst post ever, and here's why you don't do that, and it can destroy your brand if they wanted to do that, because you don't own it. And I'm not trying to scare you, but what I'm saying is that when we think about where we should spend our time, spend the majority of your time on properties that you own, which to me means spend your time on your site, creating content for your website on this property that you own. You can repurpose it out to social platforms, but create the content on your site using the blog feature. You know, these are essentially just web pages, and I can't push this enough, especially for local businesses, because when you start answering those very specific questions with local search terms, and Google knows that you are the pet sitting expert in the northern New Jersey area, anyone who searches that term in your region is going to be sent to you.
Yeah, let me just follow up with a few points you made, because it's so funny. You said that the whole 100 articles in 100 days or 100 questions answered in the 100 days. I take the email submissions from my pet sitting business very seriously, to the point where on Pet Sittingology, my most recent blog post, Ryan, was exactly this. I took 3 recent pet sitting business submissions, and because those people are using very real and specific language, I pulled out from their emails and showed you how you could turn that into a very specific piece of content using their words.
I saw that. It was awesome. That was very well done.
Well, thank you. So I think that this is a very similar thing we're talking about. Use what your audience is giving you. Go back to the dialogue they're using. Look at the questions that they're asking over and over. Or if you sit on the phone with them for that initial phone chat for 20 or 30 minutes, you're going to be asked a lot of the same questions. You're going to be chatting about a lot of the same topics. So start to just jot down, oh, I got to talk about the keys. I got to talk about the vet release. I got to talk about emergency contacts. I got to talk about the garage alarm code thing and why that's important. Just on and on and on. It's all there for you.
Yeah.
Everything is already given to you.
Yeah, I agree. Did I tell the story about worn calipers last time? I don't think that I did.
Right, doesn't sound familiar.
Yeah, okay. So I want to tell a very quick story about why the words your clients use are so important in the content that you create, okay? I am very much a 21st century guy, which means that I don't know anything about cars. Nothing. I literally know where the gas goes. I can put washer fluid in, but that's it. I mean, I know nothing, and I have no interest to know anything about them.
You and me
both. I just don't care. I should care. I just don't. I just have other things to think about than cars. But what I do know is that when you make a right turn, the car is not supposed to squeal like a pig, which is what happened to me about a year ago. I made a right turn on my way to work, and the car is just making this squealing noise, and that's not good. So I get to, I have a buddy across town, right? I have a buddy across town, and so I lunchtime comes, and I drive across town, and I go and I pull in. And I explained to him what's going on, and he goes, "Oh, you probably just have worn calipers," which I guess is part of the brakes. And I said, "Well, how do you know it's worn calipers?" And he goes, "Well, considering that you could drive over here and everything else is working and it seems to be working, 95% of the time it's worn calipers." And sure enough, it was worn calipers. You fix them, get the car back, I drive back to my office. Okay.
It's always worn calipers.
It's always worn calipers. Yeah, it's always worn calipers. It's always something. So I get back to my office, and I'm a digital marketing guy, right? So I said I gotta see, like, would I have found him? So I type in right turn squealing noise, enter into Google. I get a couple tire companies, couple like other little auto body shops just that were like geo-located, but no one that was answering my question, right turn squealing noise, because that's the problem that I had, right? So I go to my buddy's website, and I say to him, "Hey Matt." Or I go to his website and I start searching through his website, and I say, and I look through, and sure enough, right there, right on his services offered is worn calipers. These guys fix worn calipers. They're an auto body shop. They fix worn calipers. It makes complete sense. But I didn't have a worn caliper problem. I did not have, as a car owner and consumer of broken car needs, I didn't have a worn caliper problem. I had a right turn squealing noise problem. And he would not have got my business if he was not my buddy. I would have went to someone who was closer, because the only reason I went there is because I knew him. So he would have lost my business if he wasn't my friend, because his website did not serve information in the language of his consumers. The average consumer doesn't have a clue what a worn caliper is, and I've told this story in presentations before and had people yell out what they think it is, and that's not even what it really is. So people don't even really know that have heard the word. So my point is, if he had put on there the most common cause of a squealing tire, or of a squealing wheel well, or something, use the language a little bit, but if he had a blog post that had that phrase in there, it would have come up number one, and regardless of where I was in the Albany area, I would have driven to his shop, whether I knew him or not, because he had answered the question that I, the consumer, in the language that me, the consumer, uses. So when we talk about our pet sitting business, we need to do the same exact thing. So there's probably lingo in the pet sitting business that consumers do not use, and that lingo should not be on your site anywhere. It should only be the lingo that is used by the consumers who purchase your product.
Exactly. And just to reiterate once again, they are giving you the exact lingo, the exact words,
Yep.
the exact dialogue through emails,
Yep.
through email correspondence, and through verbal phone calls or your face-to-face meet and greets. Keep an ear out for how they say, walk my dog, I'm going out of town, I'm going on vacation. Do they say, I need a midday dog walk, like we call it? Who knows? Your clients may, they may not. They may call it something else. Listen for the string of how they're asking you to walk their dog while they're at work during the afternoon. And if that's how they ask you, that's your blog title. That's how you're addressing it. Need someone to come over while you're at work to walk your dog in the afternoon? Now they're saying, well, yes, that's exactly what I need. Opposed to need a midday dog walk. That sort of gives half of the story, right? It doesn't talk about while you're at work, and it doesn't talk about in the afternoon. Be obvious, don't take anything for granted, and hit them over the head with the content you're creating.
Yeah, another great place is your family members, because when people talk to you, a lot of times they try to sound smart, right? Like you're a professional dog walker, and when they talk to you, they try to sound smart. Your family members don't care if you think they're smart, so they will use the most dumbed down language that you. So I find that my family members are great places to pull pieces of content out of, because they'll, my wife, she, for as much as I'm into digital marketing, if computers didn't exist, she wouldn't care, other than her ability to online shop. So, she knows nothing about this stuff. So I like bounce stuff off her to get like the neophyte response to these things, and so find that person or family member, stuff like that and use the words that your clients use. That's this long drawn out story is basically say use the words that your clients use.
Yeah, exactly. Very cool. So have we dissected the blog topic? Moving on to Google plus local?
Yeah, I think so. The major points for the blog is just it is a make sure you are creating on properties that you own. That is the major point I want people to take away, because small businesses tend to move towards, we'll just put stuff on Facebook and use that as a website, or we'll just use this other platform, Instagram. Hey, there's no reason you can't take your Instagram photos and create blog posts out of them. You can do that. And that way you own the images, and if the images are, your Instagram comes down or whatever, you have those images locked in to your site and that kind of stuff. Okay.
Before we do move on, can I have you very, very briefly tell us what this 100 answers in 100 days were? How long did it, like did you do one a day? Did you do them all in a week? Because I'm sort of intrigued by that idea.
Okay, so the 100 questions in 100 days thing is basically we had a blog that we never used. Like I basically set it up, built it, was ready to rock and roll, and then like the rug was pulled out from under me. But then after a little while, they came back and said, okay, we're ready to rock and roll. People who are watching this have probably seen Pulp Fiction, right? Pulp Fiction, Uma Thurman. Heroin to the nose.
Say what again?
Yeah, bad idea. So John Travolta says, I don't want the boss to kill me, since this is his wife. So he takes out an adrenaline needle and jabs it into her heart, and she comes bursting back to life. That is what I wanted to have happen with my site. And so I said, what is the thing that I could do that would, get Google jacked up about my site and start sending me traffic? Answer questions. We've already talked about that. 2, YouTube. Google loves YouTube. It's one of their products. So if you're using them, linking from YouTube, embedding YouTube videos, it gives them another reason to serve you. I also used Google Plus very heavy, even though it was early days, because I'm playing Google's game. I have no problem selling myself out to Google, because what they do is they serve me potential clients. Okay. So what I did was I put all these questions in a row, 100 of them, and I said every single day, the very first thing I do when I get to work is, at that time I just held my camera up like this, talked into it, and then as the program was more successful throughout the 100 days, I actually increased my technology fairly quickly. But I started with just cell phone camera videos, and I kept myself to 2 minutes or less whenever possible, and I just said, hello, my name is Ryan Hanley. I work at the Murray Group Insurance Services. Today we're going to answer the question of what is New York State short-term disability, right? Very, very simple. And then I would go on to answer it. Hey, and then I used YouTube has annotations, so I just put my phone number like up here, and I just said, if you have a question about this coverage or if you have a need, please give us a call. Here's my number. Done. That was it. Very, very straightforward. If you go and you look back at the early ones, they're awful. I did them whenever I could, but I made sure I got one out every single day for 100 days. What's crazy is that the results were immediate. And the reason that they were immediate is because as much as the insurance industry is a mega multi-trillion dollar, trillions upon trillions of dollars industry, there was nobody answering questions. The insurance, for all intents and purposes, it's 1965 to the insurance industry.
And if I may, for a quick second, where have we heard this before with a local pool guy who says, I run a pool site, I run a local pool installation, nobody's answering questions?
Yeah.
Sheridan.
What's amazing is that I didn't even know who Marcus Sheridan was when I started this, but I got about 50 days in, and I wanted to like improve upon it, so I started Googling like asking questions for your business, and obviously he came up because that's his big thing, and it was like amazing. I was like, oh my God, look what this guy did in the pool industry. I'm seeing the same stuff happening for my insurance industry. People search questions. I mean, I'm beating this topic up, but like people, when they go to Google, they put questions into the search bar. That's what everybody who's on this call does. That's what I do. That's what you do, Josh. We all put questions into Google. And if you are answering those questions, you get served results. So 100 days, very quick. Video, upload to YouTube, got the YouTube video, just made it nice, put my contact information, very brief description. Then I took that YouTube video, embedded it on a blog post, and put a little content around that. The whole process from recording to posting on our site took, on average, 18 minutes. They're not incredibly detailed posts. The main key was the video, right? It was the video. I later went back in and added transcripts, but you don't have to do that. If you do, I think it's incredibly powerful, and I would use SpeechPad, $1 a minute transcription. So if you're doing 2-minute videos, you're only paying $2 a video for your transcription, and that gives you some good text content to put in your blog post. So that's a little tool for people. But so, dude, the results were incredible. So Google starts immediately feeding us traffic. Like we went from 72 website visits a month, or a week. Every week, 72 to the same 2 pages, our contact page and our home page, because that's where our phone number and our address was. Makes sense. So people that already knew us were the only ones that were coming to our site. But when we started to create original content, answering questions that insurance consumers have, the first week that I did this, we had 500 visitors. So from 72 to 500 visitors in a week. In 1 week, 5 days, you're telling me you can't get people to your site? From 72 to 500. It's incredible. So this just keeps going on and going on. And during those 100 days, so just the 100 days, just the people who referenced the videos, because we were not prepared to track the onslaught of calls and stuff that we were getting. So this is just people who referenced the videos. We made $5,100 and some odd dollars of revenue, not sales. Sales was even more. Revenue to our business directly relatable to those videos just in the 100 days. And so that's just $5,000 on top of everything that we would do on an everyday basis. So this didn't cut into our other activity. It just added $5,000. Now the money from the revenue from that is like closer to $50,000, 2 years later, because they just keep sending us more and more and more people, because it doesn't, they don't get Google just keeps serving these videos even though they're 2 years old.
Wow. So everybody watching us in the pet industry, how easy is this? You don't want to commit to 100, commit to 50. You don't want to commit to 50, commit to 30. You don't want to commit to that, commit to 10. Whatever. Do you, 5 or 10, say 10 questions in 10 days. It's this right here. And then I have a button after every video. I click YouTube and it automatically uploads to YouTube from my phone. There you go. Take a minute or two. Start thinking about what little tidbits or quirks or situations you're running into with clients, with their pets, with their homes, and say, I just ran into a dog who is not letting me get the food in the bowl before he attacks and, all that stuff. So this is what I learned, whatever it is, right? Or I saw a little stain. This is how you're going to get it out. Whatever it is, make the video happen.
Yeah.
Jane Mitchell wrote here, any tips or resources for stepping up from iPhone videos?
Yeah. So the first step up would be maybe using like your HD camera on your laptop and getting a nice microphone. I'll swivel this a little. This whole microphone setup here, the microphone, the stand, and the thing. This is like less than $200 for the microphone and everything. Laptop camera, or your laptop camera is good. So this setup right here, I could do.
Perfect,
the way that
yeah.
we're talking into this, I could do these videos perfectly fine, right? It don't have to be crazy shots. If you want to go further, I have a Canon DSLR SL1, which is a new mid-level DSLR camera that I bought for $750. That takes incredible video. Then you can rig it all out to above where I'm sitting right now. I have a full-blown video studio because I take it kind of seriously now because I've seen the results. But I would say the next step up would be like laptop camera and like a nice microphone. Remember that people will watch a blank screen if the audio is good. People will watch a blank screen on YouTube if the audio is good. If the audio is crappy, they'll turn it off. So focus on microphone before you focus on camera. Your camera can be a little blurry. It doesn't necessarily have to be HD, but make sure you have good audio. That would be my recommendation.
Exactly. And it is so easy. I think the biggest obstacle is just getting comfortable with yourself on camera and watching yourself. It is a little bit of something to get used to, but believe me, once you do, it's so easy. That's what I do. I just sit right here. I fire up my webcam when I have something to say or a video to record, push record, talk into it for a few moments, and you have the video. I see a few of you are excited and intrigued. We've had this video conversation before. I'm always ready, willing, and able to assist because I love videos. I love helping you make the videos. So if you want accountability, if you want to get in, you want to do like a short 10 questions in 10 days, 10 videos, let's all commit to it. We'll regroup and we'll all do 10 videos in 10 days, whatever it is.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I like that.
Yeah. So you want to talk about Google Plus Local, which has been a really good conversation we've had.
Yes, let's talk about Google Plus Local. I'm going to do a screen share, and I'll show you what I mean. Let's see here. Okay. Can everyone see my screen now?
I see. Well, yes, let's go back. There. Whoop. There you are. We see.
Page, right?
Yep. We see. Yeah.
Okay. So we talk about Google Plus, amazingly powerful. I'm sure Ronnie Bincer knocks it out of the park because I know him to be a very good, very professional and understands the platform.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about what you actually get when you use Google Plus and you fill out your so Google Plus and Google Local have merged. The About page on your Google Plus profile is essentially become your Google Plus Local page. And the information that you put there, this is why it's incredibly important to fill out your Google Plus profile completely, is because the information that you put there is what's ultimately pulled to something that's now called the knowledge graph, which is a horribly marketing, like inside baseball term to mean additional information in search results. That's what the knowledge graph is. Okay. So what you're seeing now is when I search for the Murray Group, you get this really cool fisheye picture that I took of our office when you first walk in. You get a little map of where we're located, our name in big bold letters, how many Google Plus followers we have, directions if you need them. You can give us a review. You can connect with us directly on Google Plus, our address, phone number, when we're open, how many reviews you have, actual snippets from our reviews, so like little testimonials, so people leave reviews, and here's some that they pulled out. I would recommend the Murray Group to everyone I know. How freaking amazing is it that on this page, when someone goes to check out the Murray Group, they get a recommendation from Google Reviews that says, I would recommend the Murray Group to everybody. That's a home run. The Murray Group is the best insurance company to work with. Home run. Right there. I didn't put that there. Google put that there from our Google Plus profile / local page. Okay. So then there's some other also search for, which you may not necessarily be happy about, but there's nothing you can do about that.
Right.
Okay. In addition, in the search results, our Google reviews are shown right here. So we have 25 5-star reviews that populate right here. So if you're looking for us, or I shouldn't say us anymore, but if you're looking for the Murray Group and you come here and you're like, geez, I met Lauren Hanley the other day. That's my wife who works at the Murray Group. And she mentioned that I should check this Murray Group out. Let's see what they're all about. And they come here and they see 25 5-star reviews and they see this image like, oh, that looks like a nice place. And geez, it's not too far from my house. And wow, here's someone who said that they would recommend it to everybody. Do you think that there's even a question that they are going to pick up the phone and give us a chance?
Of course not. Right.
Right? No. So it's absolutely guaranteed they're going to pick up the phone if they've gone through this trouble. So you don't get all this additional information, including this address and the Google reviews. That is all pulled from your Google Plus local page / profile. Okay. So now we're going to come over to the Murray Group's Google Plus page. Pretty similar to what people are used to. So now we go to the About section. So the About section is what merged with Google Local. So here we find a map to our location. This map is not going to be there if you haven't put a correct verified address in here. So make sure that your address makes sense and that Google can find you. Link to your site, your reviews, the ability to get someone to write a review about your site. Any photos that you'd like to add. This is how I added that photo, that fisheye photo of our site. Whatever the last photo is that you shared is the one that's going to show up in this knowledge graph, right? So whatever the last photo is what's going to be right here. Keep scrolling down. Your activities, people you've connected to, those all make sense. And then, because I've had so many photos, this is kind of annoying. But then down here are your Google reviews. So Stephanie McKinley reviewed us about a week ago, gave us 5 stars. That's amazing. Here's another guy, Darren Janelle, who just reviewed the Murray Group about a week ago. These bits of information are what allow Google to fill out this page with very useful information for searchers. Okay, the knowledge graph mostly shows up when people do a direct search or a relatively direct search for your business. So in a standard search, it would be rare that this would come up unless the search is close to you specifically. But
right. So if I searched for something like insurance agent
Albany,
then
it wouldn't come up. It wouldn't come up. But that's okay because a lot of people who meet you for the first time. So say you're at a cocktail party and someone asks you what you do, and you say I'm a pet sitter, and they go, oh, great. What's the name of your pet sitting shop? Ryan's Pet Sitting. Whatever, Ryan's Pet Sitting, and they say, oh, that's cool, I have a dog, maybe I'll talk to you sometime. And I go, okay, great, hey, just look me up on Google. They type in Ryan's Pet Sitting, and they get some version of this, which looks like this with all these reviews and the nice images and the map.
It's a win.
Wow, he's legit. I'm going to give him a call. That's what you say.
What do you say to Rita, who's writing, how can you leverage Google Plus for a national company versus a local one, or can't you?
Yeah, for sure you can. So there's no reason that all this information doesn't apply to someone who searches for your name directly if you're a national company, right? Maybe not the map, but the Google reviews, the being able to direct connect with you, finding your photos about your business, all that stuff connects. Now the other piece is now you're talking about Google Plus as a social network, and Google Plus is social network. I mean, we could talk about all day, but the highlights are every post is searchable as its own web page. So essentially, you're creating a new page every time you post. The logged in search. So if you're connected to someone in Google Plus and they search for your business, they do a search they search Google and they're connected to you on Google Plus. Your content is served before anyone else's.
Right.
There's all these different things that go into that. Specifically, though, I would not discount these features to a local business.
Right. Are you still sharing your
I'm
screen
gonna
there?
stop now because it probably doesn't make sense because we were looking at you as I was talking. So.
And now we're looking at you. All good. All right. So before we move forward with the Google Plus Local, if you attending have any specific questions, thoughts, or comments with Google Plus or Google Local and how it can help you get your content out, etc., let us know now before we go to the final piece of the puzzle, which is going to be all about collecting email addresses and what to do with them.
I want to just address Jane's question here. She says,
Yeah,
but getting
please.
reviews from clients with Gmail but not Google Plus profile is no longer as easy as it used to be. Asking clients to set up a G Plus profile is a barrier. For sure it is. For sure it is. And there's really nothing that you can do about that. You can make it easier. There is a site, and I think I actually sent this to you, didn't I?
You
Which
did.
has some flyers that you can hand out to people that kind of walk them through the process. I would do follow-ups with people, like say, hey, will you give me a Google Plus? Most people have Gmail, and that makes it pretty easy. But yes, it's definitely a barrier. It all depends on how important it is to you to have those reviews in search results. We don't even really ask that much. We used to ask a lot more than we do now. Which is not a good thing. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that. It's actually, I push back on our salespeople all the time to do that more. They get lazy. But basically, it's incredibly powerful for search. It looks amazing when you have them in there, and it really enamors people to your brand. So I would try to push through that. I personally hate Yelp. I hate it with a passion. I hate everything about it. Its whole methodology to me makes me want to like punch somebody, and I don't mean to get violent, nor do I condone violence, but it just has been like a chasm of insanity in the way that they do things.
Yeah, well, you're not alone. Much of our industry has a hate relationship with them too, for all the same reasons. It's mind-blowing how they operate.
But Google, if you can get past the small barrier of having a Gmail account and just doing the Google Plus thing, which I think is just a couple clicks of the button, it's a much better. I found it to be a much better platform and much less, militaristic in the way they handle reviews.
So now our next piece of the puzzle with getting your content, the 3 C's: client, community, and company. Let's talk about, you were mentioning that there's a very distinct and specific way you can get your people's email and then send them requested pieces of information.
Yes. Kelly, just comment real quick before we get into there.
Sure, please always do. Yeah.
Reviews from other sources to Google Plus myself. Is that true? I don't believe it is, and even if it is, you don't want to do that because they won't be verified reviews, and then they won't show anyways. So those reviews, I would take and put them on your own site, create a nice post around the review, maybe go to a tool like Canva and create a nice graphic with the testimonial or the review on it, share that out on social media, put it on your site or your blog. I would do that because putting it into Google Plus, they probably won't show it anyways. They certainly will not count it as a verified review if you're copying and pasting it in there.
Because
so
it's coming from you.
Yeah, it's probably not even worth that. Yeah. So, I mean, part of the reason that they do this whole verification process and getting people to sign up is so that they know that they're legit reviews, so that we're not just, pumping our businesses full of reviews. So that's why they make it a little tougher. But
right.
Okay.
And just to, I'm sorry, before we move on, just to sort of reiterate Google's purpose and why they do this sort of stuff and why they have the SEO algorithm in place, meaning the over 200 signals that determine where every single web page out in the universe is going to rank in their search results for any given search term. The reason they put all these things in place is because, so to speak, their butt is on the line.
Yeah.
Every time you do a Google search for anything, a pet sitter or a new pair of sneakers, Google is giving very real, very important recommendations. Google is saying, I believe these first several results are what you're looking for.
Yeah.
And I know you, search user, are coming to me, Google, expecting the best of the best. And I take that responsibility extremely, extremely strongly and passionately, that I'm not going to deliver you garbage. So Google's butt is sort of on the line. They need to know that what they're delivering is the best of the best, because they have a huge reputation to keep, and that they've obviously have garnered that reputation, and they have no intent on going anywhere. So they just have to put these little things in place so people can't vet the system and people can't make them look bad by showing websites that shouldn't be shown.
Yeah, I'm going to drop in with a little tactic here, and I think I talked about this last time. Always put your phone number in the meta description for a blog post on your site. Okay. Title, then there's excerpt or meta description. It's called a couple different things, but basically it's the little synopsis
Snippet, right,
of the post. Always put your phone number in there, because people have begun to trust Google so much that if they don't even click through to sites anymore, right? They believe that the top 3 results are so accurate that they don't even feel like they need to click through. So if they're looking for something, pet sitter, Northern New Jersey, and they get your site pops up and you got a great looking title, the headline looks good, everything looks legit, and they see the phone number in there, it's possible that they're not even going to click through. They're just going to pick up the phone and call and be like, hey, I need a pet sitter. Are you available? I'm in a pinch. What's the deal? And then they ask all the questions they ask. So always have your phone number in the meta description so it shows up right in the results page.
Okay, and now what do you say to Rita? Anything with her recent question? Do you have anybody? Do you know anybody? Even if it's offline, we can throw someone her way.
Yeah. I do know a couple people who are like Google Plus. Like that's what they do. They're Google Plus consultants, and we can hook you up with them, Rita, no problem. At least you can reach out to them and see if they can help you. But I do know some people that do that type of work, matching brand pages and all that kind of stuff, and I'm happy to connect you with them.
Okay, perfect. Great. So let's go on to the third part of this whole equation. You say we should be getting emails and then sending them relevant pieces of insight.
Yes. Okay. So email marketing is alive and well. Collect as many emails as you can. Here's the deal with email. Email is not a great place to, or I shouldn't say that. Let me rephrase that. Email is not the place to pound people over the head with your sales message, okay? Email is a place to deliver relevant, valuable content that makes people choose you. There's a difference between those two things. The first is, hey, this week I have a 15% discount on 3-month pet sitting contracts or whatever, right? So you blast that message at them. Important to you, not necessarily important to anyone who hasn't already chose you, because they probably would have already been working with you, right? The way you deliver that message differently is you tell them a story about a dog that you once were pet sitting for, and how the dog got sick, blah, 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 you cared for them, and every year, this time of year, because you just love what you do, it's your, you feel that it's just your obligation to show people how important a good pet sitter is, and for that purpose, I'm going to give you, I'm offering a 15% discount for for 3-month contracts, right? There's two completely different things there. One is a valuable story that pulls on people's heartstrings and presents you as an expert in your industry. The other is a coupon. So very different things. And when we talk about capturing emails, there's a couple different ways that you can do this. The first is never send email newsletters out or email messages from like your Gmail or your Yahoo account or whatever. Use an email marketing service. There are email marketing services that are free up to the first 2,500 contacts. I really like ActiveCampaign, but MailChimp is another very good resource for introductory level email marketing, because 2,500 contacts on both platforms is free. So you get.
And I just want to point out that regardless, this all has to be permission based, right? You have to get their permission for it.
So the cool thing about these two platforms is that you don't have to, yes, permission based, but you can still add people to the list manually, right? So not all email marketing services will allow you to do that, but with these two tools you can. So what that means is you can collect emails at a conference, you can collect emails at the local charity function, you can collect emails at all the different places. The key to getting people to stay on your newsletter is keeping a 1 to 3, 1 to 4 mix, say. Those are relatively arbitrary but good rules of thumb. Content that just adds value versus content that asks for something. So what do I mean by that? Send out a news. It's September, August is coming up, it's hot out, people may be leaving. What's a big issue for people? They leave their dog outside in the heat, right? You put your dog out, they got to go to the bathroom, and you go take a shower, and then the shower turns into the next thing you got to do, turns into the next thing you got to do, and oh my gosh, now all of a sudden your dog's been outside for 2 hours in 90-degree heat, and that's bad stuff. So you send out a very timely, very relevant, very valuable email to the people that you've connected with that says, FYI, the next week is supposed to be blazing hot. Be very conscious of your dog being outside. Good rule of thumb is just have them go to the bathroom and bring them back inside unless you're going to be out playing with them. I don't know if this is the actual thing. I'm just making this up. But, stay with them. Do not forget about them, because this is how accidents happen. So just be conscious of that. If you have any questions about heat-related issues with your pets, or I'm happy to help, feel free to respond to this email or give me a call, and you can elaborate on that. I didn't ask for your business. I said if you have an issue or a need related to this very specific, timely, relevant issue with pet owners, to give me a call. So you send that out. You get some responses. People like it. People are going to be like, hey, oh, thank you. I did that one time, and, barks a lot. He ended up being fine, but I was a little nervous. He was a little hot, whatever. The next month you do the same thing. The next month you do the same thing. Getting people to respond. People know, it's very obvious when they see that your logo in the email, that you're a pet sitter and that the services that you provide. Mm-hmm. But then that fourth email you say, Christmas is coming up. A great gift for pet owners is the freedom of a quality pet sitter who can allow people to do the things they need to do during the day while making sure their pet is properly cared for. It's a great Christmas gift. Now you're doing the ask, because you've given them 3 months of quality, valuable information that sets you up as an expert, that makes people aware of your brand. Because what happens is, this is what happens. So the email about the heat goes out, and I get that email, and I'm like, geez, I got to make sure that my dog's name is Isabella, that I watch Isabella when she's outside because it's going to be hot. I then see my neighbor, and I'm like, hey, neighbor, make sure that you bring in your dog in, because I heard it's supposed to be 90. My pet sitting friend just sent me an email, and it's supposed to be 95 all week. Make sure you keep, Astro inside or whatever. And the person goes, oh, a pet sitter? What's the pet sitter's name and number? I've been looking for a pet sitter. That's how this stuff happens, because I didn't spam, I wasn't spammed with a coupon. I was given this valuable information that I then shared, because I'm not looking at your email as something that's not valuable to me. I'm saying, oh my gosh, this email is so valuable, I'm going to tell someone else about it. And that's the way this game works.
Exactly. And to tie it all into what we've been saying all along here is, while you're month after month offering that insight and that education leading up to, hey, it's the holidays, why not X, Y, and Z? all leading up to that, you're going to be keeping a distinct eye and ear out for the language they use. Hey, my in-laws are coming to town and my dog doesn't play nice with the dog they're bringing, so I want to whatever it is. Now you have a chunk of dialogue that they're using that you can then push out. Are your in-laws coming to visit this Christmas time and need a place
I was gonna say that's a great Thanksgiving. That's a great Thanksgiving email right there. In-laws coming for the week. You know, hey, I'll watch your dog for you.
Whatever it is, up leading up to that, they should be giving you the dialogue. I got an email that spoke about friends and family are coming to visit and they're allergic to the cat. So that was one of the examples. Hey, friends or family allergic to the cat and need a place for her to stay for the week. And now you're off and running with your offer. And they're like, well, yeah, exactly, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, awesome. I mean, that's the whole deal right there. Is it's just thinking a little bit differently about the way that you share and how you share. But I'll tell you, the results are that's the way results happen. The way you get people talking about your business. Give people the information that makes them feel really smart. Because what do we love to be at cocktail parties? The smartest person, right? We love to be the one standing with the circle, swishing our cocktail drink, telling everybody that interesting piece of information that we know none of them know, and they all go, "Whoa, you're so smart!" Like, people love that stuff. It seems silly and it seems kind of cheeky or whatever, but like that's how messages spread. And by giving people that valuable information, they're gonna talk about it, because if you have one pet owner on your list, they know how many other pet owners. Pet owners are like they're a cult. They're because we all love pets, right? I love Isabella. When I go to the dog park, I have 15 other pet owners that I'm standing next to, and if I'm sharing with them this really piece of valuable information that my pet sitter gave me, you now have 14 more pet owners that know about the fact that you're a pet sitter.
Right, and look what Jane is asking. Do you mean these emails are going only to clients or people who don't know you well, but whose email you've collected?
Yeah, so Jane, that's a very good question. So you can segment your list, clients and prospects. You can do that if you want. It all depends on what you. I mean, I would actually recommend segmenting the two if you have that ability. A tool like ActiveCampaign could really do that for you, because it has the ability to segment things out nicely. But the important part is, I wouldn't get too bogged down into, well, these people may not know me. If the content is valuable enough, they're not going to care how well they know you. And if it is valuable, they may want to get to know you better. So I would focus more on the messaging and less on the segmenting at first, because segmenting and targeted messaging and stuff, that's really like a 201 or 301 level course when it comes to email marketing. Really focus on telling valuable stories that are relevant and timely based on what's going on in people's lives. And hey, here's another thing. Don't be scared of unsubscribes. People are going to unsubscribe from your newsletter list. It happens every single day to me. Every single day, people unsubscribe from my email list. The good thing is every single day, more people subscribe. Now, the deal is, what these unsubscribes are actually doing is sorting out people who would not be good customers for me. We talked about this, good customers versus bad customers, in the first one. And unsubscribes are, if you're adding valuable, relevant content, you tell that story about August and the heat, and you do it right, and it feels good and it's valuable. You tell that story and someone unsubscribes, they're never going to buy from you. If they did, they would have been an awful client, because they don't value you as an expert and the knowledge that you're able to share.
That's right. So as we are wrapping it up, you know that this is part 2 of a 4-part series. What we've said from the beginning is that in 2 weeks from now, we're going to be doing part 3, and then another 2 weeks, part 4. Those 3 and 4 are, in fact, reserved for attendees of what we've been talking about, this 2014 Pet Sittingology live event conference in Las Vegas, October 19th through the 22nd. We have Pet Tech on board doing a full Pet Saver first aid and CPR course. It is going to be an event. We haven't even practically scraped the surface with all the little surprises and little events through the big event that's happening. PetSittingLive.com is your place for best pricing. July 31st, 2014 is the end of the current standard pricing structure. It goes up a little bit after that for last minute pricing. So lock in the best pricing right now. I have it on, thanks to our sponsors, I have it on a 3-month payment plan. So it's so affordable. Get in right now, PetSittingLive.com. Join us, and you'll also be invited to the part 3 and part 4 here with us, with Ryan, where we dissect your exact content. Any final thoughts or words, Ryan?
No, I know we threw a lot of stuff at people today. I get that. Just understand this stuff takes time, right? Like, I am not trying to tell you that you need to go out and do 400 things today. Just focus on one of them. Maybe it's just, okay, I'm going to just focus a little bit more on creating content on my own site, or I'm going to really take my newsletter seriously. Stuff like that. Take your time, but always make it valuable to the customer, right? I think that's been the overwhelming theme. Valuable to the customer, and you're going to win. It's just that is really the secret sauce to this whole thing, is making it valuable to the customer, not necessarily valuable to you, and they're going to choose you. It works. Content marketing works every time. It's just work.
Right, and call it what you will, just providing the insight, providing the tool and the resource, becoming a resource is all it is. And that's what your clients, your community, and your company, wow, they're the 3 C's. That's what they all want. Well, you heard it there, guys. RyanHanley.com is where he's at. Go to his site if you haven't. You'll be floored with what kind of a resource Ryan is. Marcus Sheridan was a guest on your podcast. Meanwhile, this guy Ryan has at least 50, or I think you're even approaching 100 episodes.
92 today.
Wow, 92. When is the Marcus episode coming out live?
It'll be well, you can watch the YouTube video right now, but I'll have the post out probably tonight or tomorrow. You can listen to the episode. So RyanHanley.com/show92 if you want to listen to that. That'll take you right to the page. You can listen to the show.
Excellent. And of course, the Pet Sittingology Facebook Training Center or the Pet Sittingology Google Plus Training Center. We have communities in both places. Ryan is active with us in either of those locations, so you can get in. We can keep the dialogue going. I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Thank you, guys. I like all these comments. Again, always great to see familiar faces. Like I introed and started this, please keep our friend Bella and her little girl Olivia in your thoughts and prayers today. It means a lot, and we'll certainly keep the conversation going. Thanks, everybody, for joining us today. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you,
Have a good
guys.
day.